Welcome, guys. Welcome to today's Teaching Tuesday, and we're here with Christine McAlister, and we're going to get into a wonderful conversation with her about starting an online business and creating income for yourselves and how you can get started today. So stick around. If you guys have not downloaded the Onelife Roadmap Journal, the intro edition, I would encourage you guys to go out and get that. There is a free download that's available on our website. So if you guys go to onelifefullylive.org, you guys will be able to get your hands on, we have a student edition and a adult edition, and it'll walk you through the entire One Life roadmap. So you'll be able to create a vision for yourself. You'll learn how to, cast your vision and set your goals and figure out your finances and how to earn more and how to save more and your relationships and figure out what mentors and mentees and, who's in your posse. And the last section is about wellness and making sure that you are at your best physically, mentally, and spiritually. And so if you go to onelifefullylive.org, you guys can download that, the intro edition for free. And then there is there's over 50 pages in the intro edition, and you can get the full edition on Amazon just by searching One Life Roadmap Journal. All right, welcome to today's Teaching Tuesday. And what's great about these is that I love how all of our guests have something unique to bring to the table. And over the last little bit, last several weeks, we've really talked about, some of that internal fortitude and some of those, those soft qualities and personal qualities that you need in order to go out and live your one life fully lived. But today we're going to kind of talk about, some of the tactics or some of the, strategies in order to actually make your one life fully lit. How do you actually do that? And a lot of times it comes around starting your own business or starting your own side hustle or taking your income into your own hands. And that's what we're going to talk about today. And what's great about living in 2020 amidst all of the craziness is we do have the internet and we do have these wonderful tools and these wonderful opportunities in front of us if we are willing to learn how to use them. And then obviously if we're willing to go out and take advantage of them. And so our guest today is Christine McAlister. And it was very interesting, how things come together, but we were chatting before how this whole, how this conversation got started. And I believe it was kind of the universe just slamming two great, people together. Carolyn, do you want to kind of share a little bit about how One Life ran into Christine and how she ended up on the show?
Yes, I'm so excited to have Christine here. Thank you for being here, Christine. It was serendipitous. So we were in the Breckenridge and happened to have a conversation about what we do at One Life and how we provide access and education to those who need it the most. And voila, appears Christine. And Christine, with her servant soul, aligned with us, and we were able to sit down and have a conversation about some of the tribulations that she's been through in her life and what beauty that she's created in which to give and pay it forward. And so Christine has fallen into this beautiful light that as we aligned and met each other. And so she's a beautiful human who has created a successful business and is here to help our leaders, female leaders, learn how to create another stream of income. And that's where we are excited to have her here with us. Is it falls directly into our core four. So we talk about vision, we talk about finances, we talk about relationships and wellness. And Christine, I'm so excited to have you here to talk about our finance pillar and a bit of your background as to how your business came about and how you're impacting so many women today.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. I've been running my business, which is called Life with Passion, for 5 years now. And before that, I had been a university professor. I had been a career counselor, and I always knew I wanted to start my own company. In fact, I was talking with my first roommate out of grad school just last night, and she said, do you remember us sitting around as young, single 20-somethings, and you were painting the picture while you were in your day job? I'm going to have my own company one day. And when I have my own company, I want you to come work with me. And that has now been our reality for the past 5 years. She's been working with me, helping me, my right-hand woman, for the past 5 years. It's amazing. No matter what age you are, you can start talking about what you want and bringing it into reality now, faster than you would if you didn't give yourself that permission to dream, right? But I quit my job in 2010 to go full-time in my online marketing business, which I had been running on the side for 5 years. And I ran that for 5 years, full-time. And then I went through a personal tragedy that ultimately led me on the path to starting this business. And that was that at full term, I unexpectedly lost my first daughter just when she was due to be born. So we went in to one of my last doctor's appointments. The car seat was in the car. We'd had the baby showers, wrapped everything up. And without any kind of reason or cause that we will ever know, she had passed away. And so then I had to go to the hospital and deliver this baby who had already passed away. And it turned my life totally upside down and basically burned everything to the ground, right? Everything that I thought I knew about how life was supposed to go is now on its head. And so in the grief and the reflection that followed, I made a decision to create a legacy that I could be proud of for myself, but also for her, since she wasn't here to do it. And out of that self-discovery came this passion for helping other women to get out of their jobs and create their own freedom and their own successful businesses, because I'd been able to do it. I heard, oh, that must be nice for you, or I wish I could, a whole lot. And I was like, well, you can. Let me help you, right? So that's what I've been doing for the past 5 years.
What a beautiful story. Thank you for sharing, Christine. And what was your daughter's name?
Maeve Evelyn.
Maeve Evelyn. Just want to take a moment to honor Maeve.
Thank you.
And honor your 2 beautiful rainbow babies that you have. And how old are your girls?
4 and 1.
Yes, wonderful. And just what a beautiful and honorable tribute to Maeve.
Thank you.
And taking that opportunity to say, yes, you can do it too. So I'd love to hear about how you can do it too.
Yeah. So I believe that the quickest path to my specialty is helping my clients create a 6-figure business online in 6 months. So I believe that the quickest path to that is through providing services. So something that you already have an area of expertise in, right? Before I started this business, I knew a little bit about online marketing. And I knew I was great with relationships. So I was really able to meet the clients where they were, figure out what I needed to figure out, give myself permission to start before I felt totally ready, right? Done is better than perfect. And charge a high ticket price because you're providing a high level of service. So as a consultant, as a service provider, as a web designer, as a coach, like these are the types of services that I see being the lowest hanging fruit for being able to quickly create a profitable business without much overhead as a solopreneur.
Christine, I again want to honor you for taking such tragedy and turning it into triumph and being that shining light for your girls. We similarly went through a few instances like that, and so I know how that can throw you off your rocker and how it can totally just a lot of other things stop mattering, and so you being able to find your vision again or create a new vision for yourself, I think is a testament to something, to you and to what you did. And I'm sure it's kind of come up a little bit in terms of how we do it or what we do. But one thing that we really focus on is in Onelife is the fulfillment triangle. And so many people are chasing success, but what we actually find that they're looking for is fulfillment, because they make all this money, they accomplish all these things, and then they look around, they turn around and they realize that actually wasn't they're looking for. And so we found that fulfillment is often what they're seeking, and that's at the middle, at the heart of someone's passions, what they love to do, their talents, what they're good at, and where there's an opportunity. And so we found that in their own ways, whether it was intuitively or whether someone sat down and explicitly, went and went after these two things, we found that this is usually at the heart of someone's story. For you, and whether it was in your kind of your first journey or whether it was in your second, your kind of your online career, how do you feel that fulfillment triangle played a part, or do you see your passions and your talents playing into it, and how did you kind of find that opportunity to make a path for yourself in a world where there's no set paths? Everybody has to create their own path, especially in the online world. So can you speak a little bit about how you kind of found yourself throughout that journey?
It's a great question. I have always been a helper. I'm a teacher, counselor, personality type, Myers-Briggs, INFJ, Enneagram 2, Wing 3 for all the fellow geeks out there. And so I've always just been about serving and helping and impact first. Like any of my careers, jobs, businesses, whatever, has always been that at the heart. And so I knew that about myself. I knew I had to do something that mattered in order for me to show up for it, right? And not just, I couldn't just go out and get a sales job and sell something I didn't care about. That's not how I'm wired. And so, I always have had this dream of being like on big stages and making a huge impact, right, all over the world. Just wasn't sure exactly what that looked like, but I kept looking for the clues. And so every time I would have a job, take a job, do a project, whatever, I would learn something. Okay, this is for me, this isn't for me, right? I had the opportunity to work at 3 Olympic Games in broadcasting, and it was an incredible privilege. And also I was like, oh, I discovered in that process, this isn't what I want to do with my life, right? I was studying broadcasting and film. And so every opportunity, right, is something to go, if I don't like it, it's at least as valuable as finding something that I do, right? Because I'm getting closer and closer and closer. And so that first step for me that got me out of my job was going, I know enough to help people online in this super, super specific equine niche. So I worked with this really small group of Arabian horse owners for a very particular bloodline. And that was enough to replace my income. I did it in the first month out of my job. And then social media came around, and I was like, well, I use it for myself. I can figure out how to use it for business, right? Because for me, I had people's trust. And so instead of hiring a subject matter expert, they preferred to say, hey, Christine, can you figure this out for us? Can you handle this for us? Right. And so I did that, and I found it fulfilling, but I always knew there was another level. I was just comfortable enough not to overcome the fear of doing something different until I lost Maeve. Right. And then I was like, I'm literally not afraid anymore. I can't imagine anything worse happening. I would much rather have died than her have died, right? I would have happily traded places with her. And so what I did was I was like, finally open to the idea of getting help, because I'd always been a proud, like, I will figure it out on my own for free, right? After spending all this money in school and grad school, then suddenly I had this mentality, which I think a lot of us do, that like, oh, now I have everything I need and I don't need to learn from anyone else. Well, that was ridiculous for me. And so I started really small. I started like learning from somebody who had like the fitness results that I wanted. And that gave me because I was still in maternity clothes a few months after Maeve was born, and I was super angry that I was in maternity clothes and I had no baby. It felt really unfair to me. And so I decided I was going to look at a friend of mine who had like transformed her body, and get her to help me. Right. And a month later, I was like back in my regular clothes, and I was like, oh, this feeling of empowerment and fulfillment, like, oh, that's amazing. Now I believe I can use that to transform my business as well. And I hired my first coach, and she is the one who walked me through, what is my zone of genius? What are my true passions? What's the level beyond this level? And taught me the structures of how to then turn around and create a coaching business instead of that service-based business. So the clues were there all along turns out I just needed some help. Like love this saying that says like, we're all in our own jar and we can't read the labels. I just needed some help to read the label. And then I was able to just take it and run with it.
Christine, I similarly kind of found my way in the online space. Maybe that's where I've seen your name before. I sold courses and did coaching, and kind of found my path doing, trying to just struggling, trying to make it work. And one thing that I found is that I've had to try a lot of things. I had to, I didn't land on what I was going to do the first time. And so I guess my question is twofold. The first is a lot of our people in our community they're in one of two places. Either they're just getting out into the world. Maybe they're fresh out of college or out of high school, or they're kind of just getting started in the world. And now they're looking for what that next opportunity is, or what that opportunity is that they can actually be passionate about. And a lot of people in our community too are maybe later on in their life, but they're at that same crossroads in terms of, they're looking, they've worked a career for the last 30 years and all of a sudden their job security is gone, or they've worked that same job and their security is miserable. And so they're looking for a way out. But I just find that there's a lot of hesitation in making the jump. And I know for me, it was a huge jump to leave a cushy, sales kind of corporate-ish job where, there was some guaranteed income, and going off and starting, completely on my own. So what does someone have to do, have to know, have to gain, or, what's that very first step before we talk about the tactics or the websites or the landing pages or like those things that are obviously important in starting an online business? Like what has to happen inside before someone can really go after it in a way that you think they need to?
A great question. Well, the very first step in my book, shameless self-promotion, is decision. So my book is 7 steps to doing what you love and making 6 figures from anywhere, right? Like that's the subtitle. And what I find over and over and over is that where we keep ourselves stuck is in employee mindset, which is how most of us have been trained and what's been ingrained in us. Unless we went to some super progressive school, from the time we entered school, we were taught to be good students, which then translates to good employees. Our boss is our teacher, our boss is our professor, our boss is our boss, right? So we are looking for external validation that we're allowed to do the thing and whether we can succeed or not. If I do this, I keep my job. If I do this, I get a cost of living increase. If I do this, I get a promotion. Somebody else is responsible for our happiness, basically, right? This is how we're trained. And so then when it comes to making a decision by ourselves for ourselves, our brain freaks out, right? Because to our brain, safe is same, even if it sucks, right? Like our brain's job is to keep us safe. And, going back thousands of years, to keep us safe would mean like keeping us in the tribe, keeping us doing what everyone else is doing, keeping us like, within the community that we have, not doing something different, because that could be scary. That could get us ostracized. That could get us thrown out of the tribe. And then that would mean actual death, right? So we're still operating with that same hardwiring. And so a lot of times we're thinking about it. I did this for 5 years. I thought about it and I didn't trust myself to make a decision that I could figure it out, right? I was so scared that I would fail and I would embarrass myself. And I wouldn't let myself do it, even though I wanted it so badly. And so if you can give yourself the permission to just go, I don't know how it's going to look, and I don't have to know how it's going to look today. I don't need a 5-year plan, just like I have in my job, right? I am going to say, I'm making a decision that I'm going to figure this out, right? The Latin roots of the word decide mean to cut off. So it is very scary, yes. And you still have free will. You can still make that decision, because when you decide, it's like you free up all the space in your brain that was keeping you like, do I, don't I, should I, shouldn't I, right? And now you can go, oh, okay, well, what's the next step? If I'm doing this, then I'm not going to be dramatic about it anymore. It's just like, oh, I'm doing it. Okay, now what?
Thank you. Yes. So I just really enjoy your authenticity and your vulnerability. And thank you. As you're sharing about that dark place where you were trying to transition, you were transitioning from what you used to know to now what you know is real.
Mm.
And then coming out of the darkness.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about, and you touch on each of these pillars as I'm listening to you. We talk about visioning, we talk about finances, relationships, and wellness. You've talked a bit about relationships and how that coaching and that mentorship helped lift you out of that place. And then you've talked about wellness and challenging your mind, your body, and your spirit. What can we say to someone who is in that place and they need to be able to find that vision? What was that shift for you when you were looking to pull out of that place that you were to be able to see a new future?
Mm-hmm. Good question. For me, it was finding somebody who had the kind of results I was looking for and who I believed I could learn from. I didn't even know coaching was a thing. I had never been in a Facebook group. Like, even though I had been in online marketing, I didn't know anything about that industry. And I simply, came across this woman who spoke to me and who had created the kind of financial freedom that I wanted and was living the kind of life that I wanted. And I said, do I feel like I can learn from her? Okay. Like, I can trust myself, even though it was super scary, to allow myself to be open and to humble myself and just take the coaching and do what she said, right? And it included, like, okay, surrounding myself with books and learning about mindset for the first time, and surrounding myself with a community of women who are on the same path and who got it, because nobody in my life did. Everybody thought I was crazy, right? And so I think those were the key things for me, that helped me really begin to actually rewire my brain, get back in touch with who I was when I was a little kid, and then start to align myself back to that person.
Wow, that's impactful. And I'm sure, just for me, and you inspire me. And that's why I love having you here today, because I know you will inspire so many more in our community. So my question next is, yes, you found that person that you looked up to that could pull you from where you were, and like being inside the jar. I love that analogy. So being inside the jar and having someone on the outside being able to read those labels to you, and now you are that person. Mm-hmm. I'd love to hear, share what you've created so that we can understand more.
Yeah, thank you. So
and Christine, if I could selfishly as well, you mentioned there's seven steps. We got the first one. So if you could try and work in the other steps in your book, and feel free to shamelessly plug as much as you like, because I think, we have one of our most tuned in live shows. So if you guys have questions and you guys want to get specific with Christine, we'll try and have some time at the end. But if you could work that in, I'm sure they're sticking around for those goods as well.
Sure. Yes. So there are 7 steps in the income replacement formula, right? And the first one is decision. We talked about that. The second one is one that most people, including myself, don't know when they try to start their own businesses. So my first business, online marketing business, I wasn't aware of mindset. I was aware of the paradigm that you work all the time. You hide in the bathroom at family gatherings to answer emails, right? You can't delegate because no one else will ever do it as well in your business, right? And, you work 80 hours a week to work for yourself instead of 40 for someone else, right? That's like a major paradigm in the entrepreneurial space, largely perpetuated by dudes who have wives who take care of everything else for them, literally, right? And that is not my reality. I'm the primary caregiver. I have part-time childcare. I pay my mortgage. I buy my groceries, right? Like, so when I shifted to, okay, now I'm on this family building journey, like I needed to find another way, because as high achievers, we're really good at making it hard and complicated, because then we feel like we've earned it, right? And we're also really good at doubting ourselves and being perfectionists and procrastinating, right? And the answer to all of those things is learning to think like an entrepreneur, having an entrepreneurial mindset instead of an employee mindset. And so that's okay. We all think we need a better strategy. If I just have a better plan, then I can guarantee my success. And then we're like, well, wait a minute. I have the plan. This is what usually happens with my clients. I have the plan and I'm not doing it. What's that about? Mindset, right? So that's the thing that most people don't recognize, that is like actually everything. I have this saying that when the mindset is strong, the strategy is simple. And usually we have them flip-flopped, right? So, today in my business, like when women come into my core offer, which is 6-figure simplicity, like I'm meeting them where they are and helping them figure out where their mindset has been keeping them stuck. Whether they're scared to charge a high ticket offer, whether they're scared to niche down, whether they're scared to sell, which is a really common one for impact driven people, because we don't want to be gross or icky or pushy. Like all of those are going to start with mindset shifts, right? And then from there, I want to make sure that they're niched down, because most of us are afraid to leave people out in the beginning of our businesses. We feel like we can help everyone. And so we wind up helping and talking to no one. So getting super, super specific on who you take a stand for and who you most want to help. That's step 3. And then out of that comes your aligned high ticket offer. So one core offer that you can charge a premium for, that you can serve at a high level, help your clients get great results. You create that. You get sold on it yourself. And then you go out and you market. And when I say market, I mean to your warm market, because your clients are your first or next clients are very likely people that you know. And most of us have a lot of resistance to offering to people that we know, because we've been sold to in like really gross, spammy ways where people we don't really know, but who are our Facebook friends, like send us a message like, hey, buy my thing, right? Why? I don't know you. But learning how to sell in an organic relationship based way to the people who already know, like, and trust you. I just did this recently and I made $67,000 in 6 weeks without a sales page, without a funnel, without any ads, right? Just to my warm market. And my clients are having like similarly crazy results when they market, because they're sold first and then they are of service in the sales process. After you sell to your warm market, then step 6 is visibility. And that's where you go out and find new people. And step 7 really on repeat is sales, and sales as service. Like that's it. Learning how to sell as service and empower people through the process rather than pushing them, rather than being annoying, right? Leaning back and allowing them to make the decision that it's best for them. Like that's empowerment. That's helping them get transformation before they actually pay you. That's creating a customer for years, if not for life.
So much gold there. Yeah, so much. And I hope Carolyn's taking notes, because I know she's going to be launching a program very, very soon as well. So I'm taking notes for and with her as well. So what I really enjoy about that is that you made the sales as a service thing. I think that concept is great, because I started in the sales world, and I was cold calling and just shy of knocking on doors and, trying to close. And it did make me feel icky. And it did, leave, it made me not want to sell.
Right.
And there was kind of some damage control or some healing that had to come from that as I moved into the online space. What can someone do, or like if someone has that hesitation, which I know a lot of people in our community are impact driven, and so I'd imagine that they have that similar sentiment where they don't want to be icky or pushy, or what does that actually look like, or how can someone move closer towards that mindset of looking at sales as a service rather than sales as a pushy thing?
Yeah, or like, I love everything about my business except the sales, right? If you're saying that or thinking that would be the case for you, stop saying that, first of all, right? And learn how to do it in a way that feels good. So what I would say is that first, the most important thing that you can do, which this is challenging when you're just getting started, but it is the most important thing that you can do, is get sold on your offer and the value of it and the transformation of it before you try to sell it. Because if you don't, then you're looking to your clients for validation, right? That this is the thing, that this is important, that this is that will make you okay and successful. And that makes it so much harder to sell because they are going to look to you to borrow your confidence until you help them create it for themselves, right? So like, if someone's coming to me and going, I really don't believe, I want to believe, but I really don't believe that I can create a 6-figure business in 6 months online, then if I'm not sold on like, I 100% can help you and can hold space for that. And I'm more like, oh, I hope they say yes because I need to pay my mortgage, right? Like, that's not going to work. They're going to feel that. And they're going to be like, she doesn't really feel 100% confident. I can't borrow her confidence. Therefore, like, I'm not going to invest, right? So this plays into your pricing as well. Like, you have to price your offer at a number you can say without throwing up, at a number you feel super confident in, not a number that you Googled and you thought, well, people are charging about this for this, right? Like, I don't care if it's $50 or $5,000. You have to be like, if they don't sign up, it's their loss because this is amazing, right? It's conviction. One of my clients called it. When your energy is in conviction and your energy is like, this is my life's work, then it's like, I'm having a party. Who wants to come, right? As opposed to like, make me okay by giving me your money. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. I think that mindset, right? And Lucas was asking for the bullets. I would encourage Lucas to go get the book. Can you show the book one more time, Christine? And it's available. Where can
Amazon.
Get it on Amazon.
Audible, Kindle, and paperback. And I read the Audible and I sing, and it's very entertaining.
The Income Replacement Formula. Go get it and write your own bullet points, Lucas. So let's talk about as we're kind of closing out here. If you guys have any specific questions for Christine, I'd encourage you guys to throw them down there. She has a Facebook group which you guys can go get connected in. It's called the Income Replacing Entrepreneurs. We'll try and put the link in there afterwards. But if you just search Income Replacing Entrepreneurs on Facebook, I'm sure it will come up. Christine, one of the things that I love that you bring to this is the not so obvious aspects of running an online business, right? I mean, when someone says, how do I start an online business? They Google that and the first thing will come up is start a website and, do social media. And we haven't talked really about any of that stuff today. And so if you feel like now is the time to kind of talk about how those play into, your online business, I'd love for you to, talk about that. Or if there's anything else that we've missed or, the not so obvious aspects of getting going. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So Dan Miller, who's kind of one of the original people who started talking decades ago about creating work that you love, he has a book called 48 Days to the Work You Love. And at the beginning of that book, he said something so profound, which is that 85% of creating work that you love is an internal job. And we get that so backward, right? It's just like strategy versus mindset. And so if you believe that 85% of creating the work that you love, which I have found to be true over and over and over and over, everybody I've worked with over the past 5 years, myself included, the important thing is not attaching yourself to a strategy that some influencer said, right? The important thing is not so-and-so told me that I should go on TikTok because that's the thing that's blowing up, right? It's more like, how are you wired? So I have what I call my 3 Ps, which is personality, passions, and preferences. The better you know yourself, the more you can choose a visibility strategy that's going to feel fun and easy to show up for, regardless of what other people think. And what I find is that most of my clients have tried to put themselves in someone else's box. Like, oh, this person had all this success on Instagram. This person had all this success on Facebook, YouTube, whatever. And then they're like, I didn't, what's wrong with me? Wah, wah, right? There are dozens and dozens and dozens of ways to create a 6-figure business. You only need to be consistent with one platform in order to get to your first 6 figures. And most of us try to do it all, right? I believe you can, and I recommend that you sell first without a website, that you get to, because it's all human connection. What's the point of a website? It's to hopefully help people, connect with you and book a call to buy from you. Well, if you can book a call with them in Messenger without having to create a website, which most people then procrastinate on publishing because it's not perfect, because it's never going to be, right? It becomes a reason why you're not making money. So if you can go ahead and connect with people in your warm market who are, you already believe you can help, you make money faster, you learn their pain points, then you write the sales page when you're ready to create a website, right? But people are buying a service from you, not from the perfect name of your business. You don't need that. Don't let that be a thing either, right? Not from knowing what you're going to be doing in 5 years, none of that. People buy from other people that they know, like, and trust, period. And so we could talk about specifics of Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn, or like, I've been on over 100 podcasts. Like, we could talk about how to be a podcast guest powerhouse. None of those are actually like the one thing that's going to make you successful. The one thing that's going to make you successful is building a business based around how you're wired. So you've got to start with that. Otherwise, what you're going to do, and I've been there, is you replace your job with another job. You become an employee to your business, as opposed to, you feel like you have another job, you burn out again, as opposed to going like, can I give myself permission for this to be the most fun possible, and to build a business in a way that feels simple, easy, light, and fun, rather than all the shoulds that are being thrown out at you. That's when you can be like, work your way toward, I literally only do what feels super fun in my business every day. I can't believe I'm getting paid to be me, right? That's the goal, but you have to know who you are before you can get paid to be yourself.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people would come to me and say, how do I start an online business? And my first thing was like, get a PayPal. And like, that's, yes. That's all you need, Cash App. You don't need all these things to get going. Do they help at a certain point? Of course. And are you going to want to start, create your website? Yes, absolutely. At some point, but it's not the thing. It shouldn't be, like you said, what holds you back. I want to thank Melissa Robillard. She posted the link to your book on Amazon. And so that's in the comments there if you guys want to go get the book. I mentioned she also has a group called the Income Replacing Entrepreneurs. We'll post that into the comments here on Facebook. So if you guys are watching that, you guys can grab that there. Carolyn, Christine, we're coming up on the last several minutes here. Is there anything else that should be said that hasn't been said today, or anything else you guys want to throw in before we wrap up here?
I just want to honor you, Christine. When we met again, as I said in the beginning, it was serendipitous. And in the words that you just shared are exactly what we teach in the fulfillment triangle. So understand yourself, your purpose, find your talent, and then find a market for it. And you laid that out specifically in such a beautiful and eloquent way. And you know, I just adore you. And I know that our community adores you. And there's so much excitement around this call. So thank you for being here. Thank you for your beautiful soul. Thank you for your servant soul. And thank you for all the contribution that you're doing in helping to elevate female leaders. And you know, actually, Hector, you know, he got a bunch from this too, right? It's not just the females, but thank you for all that you've given to us. We're so happy to have you here.
What a pleasure. Thank you.
The rest of you guys, hopefully you guys got some value. I'd love for you guys to share in the comments below. If you're catching us on the podcast, leave a review of what you gained from it and what you took away from it. And go get connected with Christine and report back to us your wonderful success. Guys, every Tuesday we have these calls, and coming up next Tuesday, we have a special One Life Roadmap workshop that's hosted by Carolyn and Tim Rode. And so if you guys want to come and get One Life, it's a live virtual workshop. You can come in, Zoom with Carolyn, Zoom with Tim, and we'll walk you through the whole One Life Core 4. And by the end, you'll have your own personalized roadmap for yourself. As always, guys, we appreciate you hanging out with us on these Teaching Tuesdays. You guys can go to onelifefullylived.org to download the journal and get all the info on the rest of the organization. And we would encourage you guys to always keep living your one life fully lived. See you guys.